So now that you understand what you need to do before entering the Crucible, and if you didn't catch that video, check the link here at the top. Now let's talk about the next step, gun skill. In this video, I will explain it in my experience, what's involved in improving one's gun skill, aka accuracy and better aim. Gun skill is not only knowing where to aim your weapon of choice, but also understanding the other factors that make that aim so much easier. Most seasoned Crucible players know this, and to better compete with these players, you need to know them as well. So let's get started. Destiny 2 has two things that make it stand out among the other shooter games out there. First, Destiny 2 has the most unique gunplay, quote, feel than any other shooter game I've played, and that includes Call of Duty and Battlefield. Second, Destiny 2 has something that made me fall in love with the first-person shooter games to begin with. Weapons. Lots of them. Whatever activity you play in Destiny 2 and whatever guns you pick up along the way, regardless of where you found them, you can immediately bring it into the Crucible and see how it competes against other Guardians in the game. This is Destiny's magic sauce for this PvP shooter fan. So what I'm going to do in this video is pick a random weapon from the game and explain everything that I go through before using it in the Crucible. Some of this information I will expand on in another video, but today we need to know the basics of weapons in Destiny 2. So I'm going to send it over to Live Gator to explain just that. Gator? Hey, thanks Gator. Well, the first thing that we need to address is what random weapon are we going to pick? Well, if you look at my vault here, I have plenty to choose from. But what I've decided to pick is something I got in last year's Dawning event. This is the special Christmas event. And I picked the Stay Frosty. I want to go with this one right here. So we're going to pick that. First thing I do is look at what is the frame type of this weapon. We know it's a pulse rifle. It states it right up top here underneath the name. So we know we're dealing with a pulse rifle here. The next thing we need to know is what kind of frame is it, because the frame has intrinsic perks, things that allow it to do things that other types of pulse rifles can't. So we'll just hit the details button here, and you can see lightweight frame is what we're dealing with here. And what this does is it creates really good handling. You notice my handling perk over here is pretty high. Also, you move faster when this weapon is equipped. By the way, when you're moving faster, that means when you're aiming and when you're not aiming. So this is going to be a really good benefit, especially for someone who's just getting into the Crucible. And the second thing I look at are all the perks on this weapon. The first thing you have are your barrel perks. We have two to choose from here. We have Arrowhead Break, greatly controls recoil, increases handling speed. This is typically the way you can really hone in and get the best recoil direction you can. This is the barrel perk you want on a wild weapon. Because if you don't have this perk, and I'm going to pull up my other Stay Frosty here just to show you, this does not have the Arrowhead Break weapon frame. So look how scattered this recoil direction is here. That's another thing. Recoil direction is something Bungie just added about a year and a half or two ago. And now, instead of going to an offline site and having to look at what the actual recoil direction is, Bungie's included it right here. So it's right here at the bottom. Now, recoil direction I'll go into in a later video, but just know that the spray pattern, the variability of how the bullets come out of this weapon is determined by this recoil direction down here at the bottom. Okay? So, you can see that the barrel perks have a lot to do with accuracy of this weapon. Mainly how the weapon handles, how the weapon, sometimes the range of the weapon. Fluted barrel here increases handling speed and increases stability. Stability has to do with how your shot varies side to side when under fire. When you're firing this weapon, it basically gives you a spread pattern, and I'll get to that part in a minute. But let's go back to the Stay Frosty that we're gonna experience here. You can see I've killed no Crucible opponents with this weapon, so I'm fresh. Just like if you were to grab this weapon right now from the Dawning event coming this Christmas time, This will probably be offered at the Dawning event as well. They usually bring back a lot of the old weapons. So we're going to start out, and we notice that the recoil direction is 100. That means it is straight up and down. This is what you tend to want to try to get in your weapon to make it more accurate. And when I say up and down, I'll explain that in a minute. But just know that if I switched over to small bore here, look how the recoil direction changes. If we go to small bore here, what that's showing me is that weapon is going to tend to pull to the left when I'm pulling down on the trigger, which means I would have to use my sticks or mouse and keyboard to resist it pulling to the left. You don't want to have to do that too much. You know, if you brought this into a PvE game, you've got plenty of time to adjust your aim. But when in Crucible, you have split seconds to make sure you're on target. So we want all the benefits we can to make this weapon work in the game. So we're going to go back to Arrowhead Break. These are your barrel perks that are on the weapon. The second thing we're going to look at is magazine perks. These can do a lot of different things as well, and if you scroll back to each of them, it tells you on the infographic to the right here about how it changes the stats of the weapon. I prefer flared magwell because my reload speed is very important to me. Once you're shooting an enemy in the Crucible, you want to be able to reload as fast as you can. Now, appended mag is good too. It does increase my magazine size to 37, where it's at 30 right now, but it takes away my reload speed and it takes a little bit off my stability. That's that left to right sway when I fire the weapon. So in my experience, I've always liked flared magwell over just having more bullets in the gun. The next perk, these are combat perks. These are certain traits of the weapon, and the ones that I've gotten here, and this is all RNG by the way. These aren't fixed rolls on any weapon. That's the great thing about the weapons in Destiny 2 is that you get rolls that are randomly generated. So the rolls that I got here are Tunnel Vision and Desperado. So let's look at each of these rolls specifically and see how it's going to hurt or help us while we're in game Crucible. Because some of these perks that are on weapons, some of these traits that are on these weapons that drop will not help you in the Crucible, and it's important to know the difference. As far as weapon mods, I'll go into that in a totally different video, but just for today, we have Tunnel Vision here. What that does is reloading after defeating a Guardian greatly increases target acquisition and aim down the sight speed for a short duration. Target acquisition is your aim assistance. That's this number right here. You can see it's already 70 on this weapon. It's already pretty strong. So once I kill a Guardian in the Crucible and once I reload, it's going to increase my target acquisition. Now the exact amount I'm not sure about. I just know that anything is better than nothing. So, and the second thing it does is aim down the sight speed. That is how quickly you can snap to your sights. That's very important as well. And how quickly you can get your target in your sights. How faster you can do that. Think of this as sleight of hand in Call of Duty. It's the same perk. Now the second combat perk we have here is Desperado. It says reloading after a precision final blow increases your rate of fire, and this is on a timer as well. So once I kill someone with a precision final blow, I have to kill them with a headshot in the Crucible. My rate of fire will go even faster than 450 rounds per minute. The last perk here is your this is your origin trait, and some of the origin traits are fixed for certain weapons like your seasonal weapons, but for special event weapons like this, sometimes they give you more than one to choose from. So we have one called Dawning Surprise. Rapidly defeating targets awards a Dawning Gift. Defeating powerful targets grants targets counts as more than one. This is mainly a PvE perk. And when it says a Dawning Gift, it's usually like some glimmer. So this is not going to really help us in the Crucible. So that's why I've picked Amalon Fluid Dynamics. This is an Amalon weapon. It's hard to see. There's an Amalon label on this gun. But with the shader I have on it, it's hard to see it. It's usually right there on the barrel of the gun. But this Amalon Fluid Dynamics trait, this weapon has increased reload speed and stability for the top half of the magazine. So if you're the type of person who shoots and reloads very often, like I do because I played Call of Duty in the day, this is a very good perk to have. I'm going to have increased reload speed on top of this reload speed. In this reload speed, it's even going to be even faster if I'm shooting from the top half of if I'm reloading from the top half of the magazine. So, and increased stability is great too. I'm at 59 here now. That's middle of the road. It could be better, but this is a rapid fire pulse rifle. So 450 rounds per minute is pretty fast for a pulse rifle. And we'll get into the archetypes of weapons in another video, but we're just trying to keep it as simple as possible here. This infographic right here tells you everything you need to know about your weapon. Your impact is how much damage you're going to do when you shoot a target in the Crucible. What's the number damage you're going to have on them? Range has to do with how far your weapon fall off is. This range is not very good, so I need to be mid-range or even closer when I'm using this weapon, being that it's a rapid fire frame. Stability, like I mentioned earlier, is how much your shot varies left to right, how much sway there is when you're firing the weapon. It also has a hidden perk. It reduces flinch the higher your stability is. This is something Bungie added a while back. So the more stability I have in a weapon, the less flinch I'm going to have when people shoot back at me in the Crucible. Handling is pretty straightforward here. It's how quickly you aim down the sights, how quickly your weapon can be readied. If you're swapping weapons, how quickly it swaps, and how fast down the sights it can aim. It's already 77. It's pretty fast, right? Well, thanks to this tunnel vision perk, reloading after defeating a target increases target acquisition, your aim assist, and aim down the sights. So it's going to be even faster. Reload speed is pretty self-explanatory. Aim assistance is how sticky your target is. When you're aiming over an enemy, your sights will tend to slow down and your reticle will be more sticky on another enemy in the Crucible. You want this as high as possible. Aim assistance is really nice, especially if you play on controller, because keep in mind, we're not rolling around with a mouse in our hand. We're playing with two thumbsticks. So how quickly this can slow down and help us get to target when we're aiming the weapon is really important. Your zoom has to do with, well, it used to have to do with range, but zoom, 18 zoom is pretty middle of the road. Zoom depends on how, when you aim down the sights, and I'll show you this in a live game, how much the target magnifies when you aim down the sight, like this red dot sight that's on this weapon here. It will tell you how much magnification there is when you're aiming down the sight. And it does help with your aim assistance, a lot of things too. So the higher this number, the better as well. But there's trade-offs. The higher your zoom, the more your weapon magnifies. It also exaggerates flinch when it comes back at you. So keep that in mind. Airborne effectiveness is something I don't really worry about because I'm not an airborne player. I try not to be anyway. I try to be more of a cover shooter. That I'll explain later. But airborne effectiveness is how sticky or how much aim assist you're going to have while in the air, and how accurate your shots are going to be while you're in the air. 20 is not very strong. So this weapon will do fine by me because I'm not the type that jumps in the air and shoots down on people. I tend to use blink. Rounds per minute tells you basically how fast this thing will empty bullets. Magazine, how big your magazine is before you run out. And the recoil direction I already went over. You're looking for that straight up and down movement when you're shooting the weapon. Makes it much easier to be on target. Alright, the next thing I'm looking at here, and this is something you can do for all of your weapons, is you can masterwork them. Actually, the first thing I look at is the fact that you can infuse this weapon with higher power. It's at 1900, which is the floor right now for all weapons. But here's the thing. Unless you're playing Trials of Osiris, your power, your strength, your power number doesn't mean anything in the Crucible. Everyone is based on the same power level going in. So we're not going to really worry about this item too much. If you're playing PvE and you're playing higher level content, then you might want to increase your power. Your power level means you do more damage, means you take more damage. It's a lot of different things involved. But the thing you definitely want to look at here is this. This is your tier. This is basically your randomly generated perk that you get with the gun. I happen to get stability here, and if you notice, I'm at 59 stability. And if you want to increase that, you have an option here to do that, and that's called masterworking your weapon. So let's do that real quick here. You can see it starts out with just some glimmer. Then it starts costing enhancement cores. And it goes all the way to 10. You can see it gets more expensive the higher you get. But look what's happening to my stability bar. It's going up little by little here. Alright, and then when you finally get to 10, your weapon is fully masterworked. This gives you the maximum available stability, which is 10. So now I'm at 67 stability instead of 57. So there you go. This is going to help my side-to-side sway and my recoil. How much hop the weapon has when I'm firing it. If you've played any Call of Duty, you know a lot of weapons have a lot of recoil because it's pretty much a spray and pray game. Not biased at all in that opinion, just from experience. Alright, and then the final perk you want is your weapon mod. And you can see you have quite a few weapon mods to choose from here. And I just read in this last week's TWAB that Bungie is going to be redoing a lot of the mod system for weapons, and they're adding 10 plus more mods. So at the time of this video, I don't have that information. But just know that every one of these mods help your gun in some way. This gives you more in the clip. This makes you hip fire the weapon. If you're not aiming down the sights, you just want to hip fire it like someone's running up to you close. This increases your accuracy while you're aiming from the hip. Icarus Grip is that airborne effectiveness. You can see how it raises it down there at the bottom on the infographic. Radar Tuner. This is how quickly your radar returns in view when you come out of aiming down the sight. On most weapons in the game, when you aim down the sight, you lose your radar in game. Don't worry, I know it's a lot of information. I'll talk about this at another time. Target Adjuster. Remember I told you about that aim assist? How sticky your reticle is on other Guardians out there? This increases it by 5. So if you want to increase the aim assist on it, you have that option. The next perk is Radar Booster. It gives you a little bit more range to be able to see people coming at you on your radar. Sprint Grip. How quickly your aim down the sight is, and how quickly when you swap weapons, this weapon is ready to aim. Is Sprint Grip. A lot of shotgunners like to use this mod because they want to be able to run, switch to their shotgun, and immediately aim down the sight or hip fire as quick as possible. Quick Access Sling not only affects, this one affects your aim down the sight speed after sprinting. This one increases your weapon's ready and stow speed regardless if you're sprinting or not. Full Auto Retrofit, where you can fire this gun automatically. It will just keep firing the 3 pulses. If you hold your trigger down, I'll just let you in on a little secret here. Bungie's already addressed this issue. This used to be a really nice perk to have, but this is a redundant perk now on weapons because this is an older weapon. If you go to your controller settings in your game here, you can go... I'm sorry. It would be under your gameplay. You have a full auto melee and full auto firing that you can toggle on and off. Always have that toggled on. That's a free perk for your weapon. Okay? Anything else we need to see here about this weapon? Let's see here. Let's see. This is a sweaty confetti. When you get a precision final blow, confetti comes out of their head. This is mainly a fun thing I picked up playing, I think, Festival of Lost. It's one of the events, special events. If you're doing a private match and you just want to have fun, then this might be a perk to throw on there. And you can see it's disposable. You can only use them for one at a time, and I have 16 of them left. But what I wanted to go with is this one, and that's Counterbalance. This reduces recoil deviation for the weapon. You notice when we switch to something else, watch my recoil direction. It goes to 85. I want this at 100 as many times as I possibly can get it. And on pulse rifles, that's very important because you have 3 bullets to be on target at a time. It's not like an auto rifle or an assault rifle where you just lay on the trigger and spray and pray. This is a more precision weapon. So keep that in mind. For me, I'd rather have the best recoil direction and the best recoil possible. So I'm keeping Counterbalance stock. This is a very popular mod on Crucible weapons. Alright, so I think I've explained everything here. You do have a counter. This is something that's a pet peeve of mine. you have a kill counter, so you can actually have stats on your weapons, but you have to manually switch them. So let's say you have the PVE kill tracker here. It does not count anything you kill in the Crucible. You have to switch over to it manually, and if you don't switch over to it and you play Crucible, then that number won't go up. So make sure if you're playing in the Crucible, you need to switch over to the Crucible tracker. I kind of wish this was automatic. Maybe this is something Bungie will fix down the road. But this is such a pain because I'll be in the Crucible and realize that my counter was still on my PvE kills. So it does not count toward your PvP kills. So keep it on this right here. That'll tell you how many kills you've gotten with the weapon. And that's just for you mainly. It's mainly so you know how much you've used the weapon. And, you know, you're just tracking how many kills you've gotten with the weapon. It's mainly just a vanity perk for yourself. If someone does inspect your character, they can see how many kills you have on it as well. So it's strictly up to you if you want to use these or not, but I tend to because it gives me an idea of how much I've used it in the Crucible, this particular weapon. Alright, so we have our weapon picked. We have it masterworked. We have the right mod on it. We've masterworked it. We've had the right mod on it for performance. We understand the combat perks here. We've picked the best solutions here as far as our barrel perks and our magazine perks and our origin perk for the weapon. We've got our kill tracker on for Crucible. Okay, so before you go into the Crucible, we have our rifle here, just the one we talked about. With everything we talked about here, we got it all set up, everything's good to go. What you need to do now is test the rifle out, kind of get a feel for it. So what you need to do is head into a lost sector, because if you don't, you're going to have other people around you here. And I like lost sectors because it creates a single instance where no one else can bug you or grief you or anything in game. So you can see this person here. As soon as I get in the lost sector, he'll disappear. I love lost sectors. Best thing Destiny could ever made. Okay, you see he's gone. So we're by ourselves here. Now what you're wanting to do here, a couple things. First, get a feel for the gun. See how quickly it aims down the sights. Just kind of get a feel how it works, but mainly this is about the distance you'll be shooting, about mid to close range on Guardians. We need to find out the recoil pattern here, because until you know where the bullets are going to go that you're sending downfield when you fire in the Crucible, you're not going to have much time to figure out where they're going. So what I suggest doing here is first let's find out what the recoil pattern is, and if it is in fact straight up and down. So what you'll need to do is get about the distance you're going to be shooting a Guardian. You can vary it. You can vary it back and forth. Let's just say right about here. And pick a wall. Usually bright colored wall is best. That way you can see the bullet holes. And hold down your aim, your L2 stick, if you're using a controller, and just lay on the trigger. Empty the clip. And go take a look at it, because if you don't right away, it'll disappear. But if you look at it, see here, it's a pretty tight grouping. Pretty much straight up and down. You can see at first it does alter to the left just a little bit, but mainly up and down, straight up and down there. That is with 100 recoil. That's what you're looking for. The second thing is kind of feel the cadence. So you feel the cadence of the shots, because let me tell you, when you're in the Crucible and there's a lot going to be going on, you're going to be getting flinched by their enemies. A lot of things are going to be going on, and you don't really have time. You know, if you're laying on the trigger like this, you need to know when you're aiming down the trigger when those bullets are coming out, when that cadence is on the weapon. Once you know that, you'll know when to aim for that head, right? If you're getting flinched and you're flinched and you're firing, you know when to get centered back on that head of that player. And in the Crucible, it's all about the headshot. It's all about the precision. That's what all your time to kills stats for all your weapons are based on. It's based on the maximum amount of precision shots you can get. And it varies a little bit because not everyone is a perfect robot that hits all headshots. But here's the thing. I like lost sectors because you can come in this area and test it out on PvE enemies, which, let's face it, they just sit there and stand still for you, right? So, like for instance, the Desperado perk that's on this weapon. We need to know how fast is the Desperado perk. When we get that precision final blow, it increases your rate of fire. Let's find out what that rate of fire is. So, real simply here, get a headshot. Well, you know, this is the cadence, right? 450 rounds per minute. So now, we're going to get a headshot. Nope, Gotta get a headshot, Gator. Let's get a headshot kill. We'll reload. Desperado's kicking in. That's how fast it's gonna fire. And let me tell you, I'm gonna show you some gameplay here. It's gonna be a big difference in how you on your time to kill for your enemy in the Crucible. So PvE is great because you can test the weapon out and you're gonna get a feel for it. See? Run through here and just pretend that these enemies are guardians in the Crucible. Kind of get a test, do a little strafing, see how your strafe speed is, just kind of get a feel, get some practice in here. But let's face it, the PvE enemies, they're pretty easy to shoot. And when you're just chilling for the night, it's a lot of fun to shoot enemies in the face, especially aliens. So this, if you want to test and see how hard a guardian is to kill, these yellow bars are pretty much, they're not exactly, but they'll give you a pretty significant representation of what you're going up against with a guardian, okay? So if you shoot and get a headshot here, and you got Desperado kicking in, or tunnel vision actually, you can see how quickly it's going to do damage to this captain right here. Let's try to get a headshot here. Let's see. And just like Guardians, here's Desperado. Tunnel vision and Desperado kicking in now. Let's see how quickly we can take this captain down. Obviously, you're going to be shooting Guardians much faster than this, but it kind of gives you an approximation. Hip firing, stuff's coming at you. You can practice hip firing. Jump. Aim down the sight. Just practice all your little things here. It's a good place to practice your weapon before you jump into the Crucible. And I'm not saying you don't have to practice. You have to practice in PvE environment, but it's just a little extra to help you get ready to test your weapon out in the Crucible. All right, buddy. Time for you to go down. All right. Oh, look at that. Got a legendary engram to boot. And don't forget to pick your chest up. Extra glimmer, extra XP. All right, it's time. Let's get into the Crucible. I'm going to do a live action game here, and let's just see how it goes, all right? I'll send you over to live, Gator. Gator? All right, thanks, Gator. We're going to jump into a live match now. If you've been following the video, we've set up our Stay Frosty pulse rifle, a Stasis 450 rounds per minute lightweight frame pulse rifle. We've got our mods on it. We've got it masterworked. We've got everything picked out here to help us in the Crucible. Now we're ready to go. Remember what I told you in the first video. If you're going to use something with a mid or long range or your primary weapon, it's always good to have something close range as well. So I've got a heel clip incandescent heliocentric here, one of my favorite sidearms at the moment. And don't remember your ghost. Don't forget your ghost, where you have a recovery armor if you get armor drop, and prism harvest, where you get those extra enhancement prisms when completing games. Targeting mods for my Stasis pulse rifle, loader and dexterity mods, and anti-flinch mods, all on. And I'm just trying to give my pulse rifle here the best chance of doing well. Is not really to use, I'm going to try to limit what I use as far as my abilities and things of that sort. I'm more worried about how this weapon's going to perform in the game. And that's what this test here is to determine. So here we go. All right. This is really strange. I'm not used to doing live commentary. Trying to get used to it still, but here we go. Remember, the more people you have on the flag at once, the more points you get, as you just saw right there. Traded. My aim wasn't really on point there, so try to improve that. That is a dummy grenade. come help my teammates here. Looks like they're all charging the B flag here. Remember, I'm trying to get 1v1 fights here. That is my main objective. These boys are not bad. Now they're spawning behind me. That's not good. Someone's got heavy ammo. Vostok is the meta right now. It's a very strong auto rifle. But that's what I'm looking for. I want to see how it competes with that. That is my goal. That was just a cleanup kill. Still trying to feel this weapon out a little bit, so... Using a Vostok which ricochets rounds off of... Okay, we're good there. Had some help from a teammate there. Get my health back. Even though my teammates need my help, I still have to... That's heavy. No defense against heavy weapons. That's why you only get a little bit of it every match. Shotgun. No defense against a shotgun, and that is on me if I'm that close to him. A sidearm will not help me in that position. Try to provide cover for my teammates here. You can see my range is limited with this gun. Can't shoot through that. This is one of the newer maps. I'm not super familiar with this map. I'm trying to learn it, but I don't quite have it down yet. Here's a 1v1. It's a very accurate rifle. Vostok. Very strong rifle right now. You can see I'm getting my shots on the head. It's very accurate. As you can see, my range is very limited with this weapon. So once you know things like that, then you'll know how to use it in your game. That's my Desperado kicking in. Thank you, teammate. Get my health back. See, I'm hitting my target. Good job, team. He's using a heavy weapon. I would have never won that battle. That is the other team. Good job, team. There we go. Yeah, we're a little outmatched on this game. Definitely have some good players. That Kvostov has my number. So we know right away that Kvostov has very good range for an auto rifle. It's going to be very hard to compete at this type of rifle as more of a mid-range engagement, and he's able to reach me a little further away. So you can see this rifle has its limitations. It is very accurate. Okay, I got you, buddy. You can see it's a very accurate rifle, and at mid-range, it's very competitive. Let's get my Desperado kicking in. You can see Desperado speeds up that. You can see Desperado definitely helps with the time to kill on this weapon. So it's a very nice perk on this kind of weapon, that's for sure. Yep. That Kvostov has been the one weapon I have been not able to counter. That's alright, I'll take that trade. He used his shotgun for it. Ah, good try, good try. So there you have it. There's a very good test. Those are some very good players that it went up against. And you can see, one thing we did learn about this pulse rifle is it is, at this low range, it is very hard to compete with the Kvostov. That is, just to let you know, that is one of the strongest weapons in the game right now. So, with Onslaught activated, which if you remember, Onslaught is this perk right here. I'm sorry, not Onslaught, Desperado. My bad, I keep calling it Onslaught. It actually has a lot of the same traits as Onslaught. Reloading after precision final blow increases the rate of fire. You heard that rate of fire. What's nice about that is you're getting more bullets downrange, but at the same damage amounts. That's why it makes it very, very good choice. But you can see I'm very limited on a big map like that. I may not want to use that rifle because of the fact that there's other rifles that can outrange me. and you can see there's no chance up against a shotgun or anything like that. It is a fast-firing pulse rifle, but it has its limitations. It can only do so much damage per bullet. So, all right, there is a true test of how the Stay Frosty did in a live fire situation. All right, Gator, back to you. Hey, thanks, Live Gator. It looks like that rifle has some really good strengths and limitations in the Crucible, and now that you've tested it, you're on your way to using it more effectively. And that goes for you as well, Guardian. Now that you know the process of setting up your weapon and giving you the best chances at winning your gunfights, and also testing it to see if it's one you will add to your arsenal, you're on your way to better aim and improving your game. These base videos have a lot to teach, but as we get more into the weeds of the game, I'll focus more on the advanced techniques to take your game at an even higher level. But now you're ready for the next step, and in this video right here will get you on your way. Thanks for watching, and I hope this really helped you out. And later, Guardian.